Hi, I'm Dr. Mark, and I'm going to help you sing and perform more like the top artists around the world. I'm a professional voice teacher, performance coach, and opera stage director. I've helped thousands of singers around the world learn the techniques and methods that got the top singers to where they are. Let's talk about what makes Diana Ankudinova's performance of Your Voice so awesome. I wish I could pronounce it better in Russian and know how to read it. Not so great, so I hope I translated it right. If not, comment down below. Tell me what I should be calling it instead. But I hope you enjoy it. Let's go.
Повязаны судьбою, мир, где так душа поет, где мама меня ждет, и нет земли родней нежнее. Я всегда твоя, родина моя, ты здесь, я всегда твоя.
Okay, so a few things that I'm noticing here as we're watching her sing. First is her eyes. You'll notice she's not doing a ton here physically. The biggest gesture we had with her body was that arm going out for a minute and then it just went away. That was it. But it's still engaging. It's still interesting to watch because her eyes are still telling the story. They're still engaged. We can tell because her eyes are shifting direction. She's not just looking at the exit sign and exit sign, but you can see that they're engaging with what she's talking about. The other thing with the eyes as well is that the focus of her eyes is outside of her body. Think of this. When you're watching someone and you see them kind of disengage from a conversation and go inside their head, where have you gone? Right? That's what we would say. Where'd you go? And they'd say, well, I'm just thinking about stuff. We can see it. We can see that in someone's eyes when their focus goes inside their head. It shuts everyone else out. So the challenge is, well, what if it is a song where it's kind of internal and it's introspective or something like that? Well, the trick is exactly what she's doing here. Take what you're thinking about and feeling and imagining and place it out in front of you so that that eye focus is still outside of your body. It's going to engage your whole face and your eyes in a different way that allows the audience to stay engaged and feel like you're communicating to them. So those are two awesome things that are going on. What makes her sound so unique? Well, there's a lot of things that are making her sound unique, and I'm not sure I can identify all of them, because I can't necessarily see everything that's going on. I would be really interested to see what's going on inside of her mouth. I'm wondering if that tongue's pulling back a lot. The reason I'm wondering that is because we're getting this kind of sound that's really sounding further back here, which can happen when that tongue pulls back. The other thing that I'm wondering here as I'm watching her is what that shape is in the back of her mouth. For the most part, it seems really tall, and the placement seems really far back. Try it now. Try imagining that that place is really tall and back, and that you're trying to keep the sound right here in the back of your mouth. So none of that resonance, there's no buzziness forward, it's just far back. Try it and try singing with that and see what happens. That's what it sounds like to me here on the bottom. What was interesting is at the beginning when she did her oohs, it was really far back. And then as she went to words, it pulled forward just a smidge. Her pulling that placement forward allows us to hear the text better. If she didn't, this text would sound kind of muffled and a little distorted. So she has this tall place, and as she started to sing, she added some of that wide smiling yawn space that we've talked about in other videos. So try that now. Go ahead and try that tall space. Try to keep the sound really far back here as if you're sending the sound back here. And then try pulling the sound forward just a little bit, seeing if you can get it resonant up here in your eyes. Still keep some of that tall space in back, but add a little bit more smile, like you're yawning and smiling at the same time, but not necessarily trying to show it up here in front. And see what happens. I think you're going to notice that the sensation of what it feels like here and also the sound sounds dramatically different. And to me, that's what it seems like is at the core of her sound and what's making her sound really kind of unique.
Я смогла тебя любить, тобою дорожить и по течению плыть судьбою.
Okay, something that has made her stand apart from other singers for a long time is how deliberately she plans her movement. You'll notice she started very quiet, not doing a lot with her body. Like we said, the biggest gesture is her hand coming out. The beat picks up, the intensity of the song picks up. She's now being more expressive with her face and more expressive with her body. The temptation for a lot of performers is to, from the very beginning, feel like they have to do a lot. And if they aren't doing a lot, then they're not doing enough. Or do nothing, just stare at the exit sign and sing pretty. She does neither. She stays engaged, she tapers it. If the music starts quiet and relatively small at the beginning, she keeps her body language so it matches that. Her eyes still stay engaged, but as the intensity of the music picks up, so does her body language. This is really important for an audience to believe that you really mean what you say and that that music is really originating from the singer, from their heart, from what they're feeling, and not just something totally different. And so we're seeing it. Again, something that makes her awesome. Let's see what else we got.
Там, где яркие мечты, где вместе я и ты, и нет земли роднее, нежнее. Я всегда твоя, родина моя, ты здесь, а я всегда твоя, нежно прошепчу.
Okay, the other thing I want to talk about here is what she's wearing. That is something that the best performers spend a lot of time figuring out. Why? Not necessarily because they're vain, maybe they are, maybe they're not. But it's really important from an audience member aesthetically, and that where our eyes are drawn to, where we focus, is really clear, that we don't have to work at it. There's nothing distracting, that it all ties together, that it also communicates the same message as the music and the text and the body language. So let's look and see what we're seeing here with her costume. It's a dress. It's got a very feminine silhouette to it. And so that communicates to us that this person singing to us is a lady, is a woman. And you might think, well, duh, obviously it's Diana. But it's really important because that's not necessarily the case when we're performing. When we get on stage, we're trying to communicate what the voice that belongs with the text and music is communicating. And that can change and be different. Maybe we're in the moment imagining that we're singing the part of a woman and that there's a song that's singing two different voices back to back. Who knows? But it's important here. So we're seeing this feminine shape. The other thing that we're seeing here is we're seeing black and cream. The black is really cool because it's kind of matching her hair, right? And that dark dress, especially around her neck and face, means that combined with the hair, it basically creates this little frame around her face. So where do our eyes focus and want to go to? Her face, which is exactly where we want the focus to go when we're looking at a singer and performer. We want to look at their face first and foremost. Then we can look other places, but like their hands, what they're doing, their feet, whatever other expressions they're using in their body language. But really, the primary thing we need to be looking at is their face. So if you're wearing something that distracts from that, it's a problem. So one of the most common things that we see that are distracting from that is a V neckline. Why is that distracting? Well, it could be distracting for a lot of reasons, but from an aesthetic standpoint, you can imagine that essentially this V creates an arrow down. It creates an arrow away from our face. That's problematic. So you'll notice here that it's not strictly a V. It's actually these little circular things that keep our eye moving and circle us right back up to her face again. So really the overall effect is more a circle, which is really, really important. Finally, you'll notice that the colors in her dress and in her sash are that more cream-like color. That's really important because white under stage lights is too hot. It's blinding and it draws a lot of attention and focus. But by just taking white and turning it to cream instead, it mutes it enough where it still reads as white out to the audience, but it's not as eye-grabbing and blinding. So, really awesome. This keeping the focus on her face is doubly important with this performance because so much of what she's doing is minimalized and more about what she's doing with her face. She's not jumping and dancing all over the place like she is in some other songs. In this song, she's staying relatively calm, relatively still. So the most of what she's communicating is in her face, and she's being very intelligent about how to draw our attention to her face and keep it there. Other thing about her costume, and then I'll drop it, I promise, is you'll notice the bottom part, obviously it ties in with everything else. That's obvious. A 2-year-old can figure out how to match, that's fine. But what's cool is that this dress is awesome because the bottom part is more chiffony, it's more flowy, it's less distinct, there's not as much detail. Then above the waist, there's more detail, which again draws our attention more. And then we see her face that's expressive and then draws our attention even more because it's a lighter color and because it's framed by this darker color. So all those things together kind of give it this kind of soft edge that draws our focus right into her face. So the entire ensemble works really gorgeously for her here. Love it.
Я всегда твоя, родина моя, ты здесь, я всегда твоя, нежно прошепчу, и когда уйду, то вновь вернусь голосом твоим.
Okay, really cool. Always fun to hear kind of the ethnic sounds that come along with folk music and stuff like that. And she does it gorgeously here. One of the things that I want to point out here, you'll notice the upper tooth smile thing. You'll see there, even when she has this warm, rich back, that's one of the things that helps that sound stay forward and doesn't make it sound so trapped in the back. And so we get this warm sound with this more present sound in the room that makes it really easy to listen to. So if there's anything to learn from today, pay attention to what you're wearing and really plan out your song so you know where the most intense moment is, and so you really think and allow your body to be the most expressive then, and that everywhere else you do it less than that. And in the quietest, softest moments, think, what is the least I can do and still be engaging to the audience, still be engaged in the storytelling. If you'll do that, you have a really good outline of the overall contour of the song. What I love here is this song is cyclical, right? So it starts with these kind of folk-like sounds and oohs, ahs type of stuff. And then it builds, grows, and we have this big climax, and then it goes down, and then we come back to that again. She lets her body imitate the same thing and follow that same contour. Are you allowing your body and your body language and what you're doing with it to match what the music is calling for, to match that same contouring, to match the intensity and the emotion that the music is calling for? Don't know. Check it out and video yourself and see if it matches. And if not, and you're watching your video, keep exploring until you find body language that matches the music, that matches the words. Or come find me online. I'd love to work with you. You can find me at mrperformingartsstudio.com. You can find me at wizio.com. And you can find me at vocalese.net. I would love to work with you or your group to help you sing easier, perform at a consistently higher level. See you next time.